greenhouse people. We are back with another episode of Tech on Demand, where our goal is to help you grow your best crops ever. I'm your host, Bill Calkins, and throughout 2026 and maybe beyond 2026, I'm going to try to catch up with different people in the professional horticulture space, find out a little bit about their careers, their passions, their journeys in the world of plants, and more. I'm calling these conversations Pick 4 because I sent each guest a list of 12 questions, and you guessed it, they picked 4 to answer and discuss. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Broch Martindale, the National Nursery and Greenhouse Strategic Account Manager at Corteva Agriscience. Broch's a frequent guest on the podcast and usually covers specific topics related to crop protection, plant production, but this time we just get to chat about the topics he selected and whatever else comes up. I'm really psyched to get into it. Broch, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me today.
This is going to be fun, but before we get started, can you tell the listeners a little bit about your role and maybe what a day in the life of a strategic account manager in the professional green industry looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've grown up in this industry, so it's super excited to have the role that I have today, but it's built on the years of experience at growing up in the industry. So the role that I have now as a national account manager is, I have responsibilities across the U.S. for large greenhouses and nurseries and helping them with basically IPM and helping them be successful in that space. And so I think the most interesting thing about it is I get to see the trends in each of the different markets, but also regionally. And I think that's really kind of a unique spot for me. So, when Southern California actually does have rain and it slows down business, or vice versa, and we have a late spring on the East Coast, I get to interact with those growers pretty closely and understand what's going on for them.
That's cool. And what markets do you serve? When you talked about different markets, is it like greenhouse?
Greenhouse. Okay. I've got other folks on the team that obviously service the turf and landscape side of the business, but I'm dedicated solely to nurseries and greenhouses.
For ornamental crops or vegetables too, or?
Yep, just ornamentals.
Okay. All right. Yep. That makes sense. And I will say that your title, although impressive, doesn't really capture all that you do for the industry. It always sounds so salesy to me, but I know, and I know you're really good at building those relationships, but I know you think of it as so much of it as a partnership, but you're also such a good educator and advocate for our industry, as well as being a grower yourself. So when I wrote this question about your title, I was kind of chuckling. Like it really doesn't capture all that you do.
Not at all. And it's kind of interesting. It's already a long title, and I don't even know how you would improve it to make it feel. But if they said, "Hey, Broch, what would you change your title to be?" Honestly, I'd probably change it to plant geek. That starts every conversation. It's all about the plants and the people. And so, yeah, if I could go back and just change the title, I'd probably start with plant geek.
Plant geek. I like it. I like it. Cool. Well, are you ready to get into the 4 questions that you picked?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go for it. Yep.
All right. Question number 1. What was your first exposure to horticulture, and how did you feel? How did you react? How did you respond to this first interaction?
Yeah. And so some people find horticulture much later in life, and sometimes even second career type of opportunities. I grew up in the greenhouse. And so I don't necessarily remember, but I've been told that I sat on the potting bench in my bassinet.
Wow.
And so I don't have pictures of that one, but I also do have pictures. And I've used this in some slides before. It's my baby picture with my mom in the greenhouse. And it shows a stack of trays next to me. But I always joke that the stack of trays are wooden trays. We haven't seen wooden trays in the industry for years. And so it's kind of a cool, thing of that people know about me and stuff like that. So I grew up in the industry. I had the fortune of growing up in a business with both my parents involved in the business, and absolutely loved it. My parents did a pretty good job of trying to push me in other directions, or at least expose me to other things. And so they did a really good job of that. But, here I marched into first grade, and teachers going around the room and saying, what do you want to be when you grow up? And there's firemen and policemen and teachers and doctors and all that stuff. And I raised the hand and said, I want to be a grower. That's that's stuck with me. The best days that I have in my job are the days that I'm actually truly out with the growers and helping them solve problems. And so, yeah, I've stayed pretty close. While I've had a few different uh, jobs along the way, I still stayed pretty close to my roots and wanting to be very grower focused.
And where was the greenhouse you grew up
Yeah,
in? What did you guys grow and who'd you sell to?
yeah. So the business was down southern Indiana, just south of Terre Haute on the Indiana-Illinois border, and we were just the traditional, seasonal greenhouse nursery business. And so we were selling bedding spring, plants, and then we also, dabbled into perennials and herbs and water gardening and nursery and you name it, kind of thing. Yeah, it was incredible. It was super fun.
Did your parents start that business or was
They
that
did. Yeah, they did. So my dad, we actually had just celebrated a couple of years ago, about 50 years in business, and so it was
okay?
pretty exciting to see that transformation of all the years of hard work in the business.
Definitely, definitely. And then, but now you have your own greenhouse too, right?
Yeah, so my wife and I, this whole plant geek thing, I think rubbed off on my wife as well, and so we met and we first off fell in love with the garden. That was kind of
Mhm.
our space, and so at the time we had a pretty shady space from a landscape perspective, and so I kind of say that a girl who liked impatiens met a guy who liked pasta, and and then we became a couple. And so we filled that property up with plants and landscape and decided that we needed a little more space. And then we traded in our city space for a rural piece of property
Mhm.
out west of Indianapolis. And at the same time, my wife and I got married, and her wedding budget for flowers was insane. And she was like, I think we should grow them. And here I am, all these years of growing and understanding just how difficult it is to get to look good for a period of a couple of weeks. And then
Right.
she wants to get flowers to look amazing on one particular Saturday in the middle of October in Indiana.
Hmm.
Yeah. So like any good husband, of course I said, yes, we can
And
do
you're like,
that.
yeah, of course,
Yeah.
no
All
problem.
right. But in the behind this, I didn't show this to her. I didn't tell her this, but I was scared to death.
Oh yeah.
I thought this was going to end badly. But anyway, I was still pretty confident that I had connections in the industry. I figured that we could figure this out if we had to. But that's what sparked this interest in local cut flowers for my wife. And so we decided to kind of get into it, and so we currently have um, a seasonal cut flower farm in Annapolis area, and we kind of support local event florists in that market. We do some U picks and some other events on the farm,
Mhm.
but really have been focusing on the event floral industry, and especially with dahlias.
Oh, see, I think that's awesome that you continue to, I guess, cultivate that spirit of a grower.
Yeah, yeah,
No matter what your title is, you're still a grower and a plant geek. I love
yeah,
it.
yeah.
All right, moving on to question number two. What advice would you give to a young person considering the pursuit of a career in horticulture? And I'm glad you picked this one because I know that you probably have given a lot of advice over the, course of your career. So what is that advice that you give or would give to the young person who says, maybe I would like to do something more in horticulture?
Yeah. I think this couldn't be any more of an exciting time in our industry. Um, you've been around for a really long time and you've seen
Hmm.
the progression of how things changed. I just think about our industry as we literally have a job for everyone. Like
Mm.
you just have to have some general interest in a couple of different themes, whether that be you just like plants in general, you like to beautify, you like outdoors. Like you just have to follow one of these couple themes, and then all of a sudden, well, yeah, there's roles for that
Yeah.
in the industry. And so, I had an opportunity to meet a young gal about a year ago, and her dad had reached out and said, "Hey, I'd like you to talk to my daughter a little bit. She's like got a lot of interest in the arts and drawing and marketing and stuff like that. But she's like, I think that she also really enjoys being outside and in nature. And there's something about like the industry that I think she'd like to like learn more about." And so, I mean, there's a perfect example. I mean, we
Yeah.
took somebody whose background really wasn't necessarily plants or horticulture, but exposed them to the opportunity within the industry. And now all of a sudden, she's making some changes in college to align a little bit more with this kind of like dual major kind of concept.
Mm.
And so super cool to see. We see this all the time. I mean, just getting more people, young people out there recognizing that there are so many different roles out there in the industry. I think it's exciting.
Yeah, it's that sometimes it is just that initial exposure. Like,
Yeah,
go and see where plants are grown or go and see where plants are sold, and you'll
yeah,
realize there is a huge element of marketing. The
yeah,
artistic side of our industry can't, I think, is understated, but it's something we all, people in the industry, feel. And when folks with artistic talents start sort of working in roles within our industry, they realize the opportunities are huge and the chance for creativity is massive. So that's really cool.
and I think I got one more that I think it's an interesting one. So I often, because of obviously being across the country back and forth, kind of have a route kind of in mind
Hmm.
that I kind of travel. And so I was out in Oregon late last year, and grower was super excited to introduce me to somebody they had just hired on the team. Now, him being the grower, I was expecting somebody to be plant health related, but it wasn't that at all. It was they had hired an electrical engineer. And while
Okay.
I don't necessarily have a lot to do with electrical engineers, what they saw was that the industry was changing so fast and there was so much tech that was out there, even on the shelf, like, technology wise, that
Yeah.
could be adapted to the nursery and horticulture industry. And so they felt like didn't have the right people and that this
Yeah.
person could fill that gap. What a cool concept.
So that person is looking at existing technology and figuring out how it can be applied to solve problems in a greenhouse.
Yep, you got it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, so like again, you found something that like that the technology side of what we all do is just evolving so quickly that there's we're literally creating new jobs within our
Mhm.
industry. We're not
Oh
doing the
yeah.
same things we did, you know, 25, 50 years ago. We're creating lots more jobs within the industry just because it's a growing, flourishing market.
But we have to be open to that. Like, that strikes me as something we have to be accepting of and also allow for people to take that bigger objective view at solving problems. Because if we approach it, I mean, yeah, there's more opportunities and differences now than there were 25 years ago. But if we continue to approach the problems the same way as we did 25 years ago, there's not going to be those kind of opportunities to make those big changes and to see
Yep.
how that technology that's existing applies to our industry. So having that fresh perspective or a person with a different perspective on a team makes a lot of sense.
It does, and I think some of this big picture thinking, from at least my perspective, has come from the corporate side. It's really
Yeah,
been being an innovation company. I think this kind of really got instilled in me, and so I've had these conversations with some of the
right.
growers that I've worked with, and so like they hear the story, they understand it, and I think if we continue to go down the route of from a staffing perspective, if we continue to go down the route of just simply posting an ad, filling a spot, and expecting something to change and
Mhm.
people to be knocking down our doors, I don't think that's the case. I think
Right.
we as an industry need to do a better job selling all the things that we have going on for it.
Totally agree. Well, I guess
Yeah,
that's a good segue.
I think you even hit it, Bill. I think back on your other podcast, I think
Yeah.
you guys were talking a little bit about that cross, like getting the nursery industry or the greenhouse industry a little bit more exposure into mainstream life of things. And I think that's exactly what we need to be able to do.
No, I agree, and I think when you see that put into action, just like your conversation with this grower in Oregon, like, it makes a lot of sense, and we just need more examples of that to kind of build that momentum. Yeah. Well, it's a good segue into question number 3, which is, what do you love most about your job?
Yeah, yeah. What do I love most about the job? And so I think I get this from my own team members, and I think what they're looking for is that I'm gonna like call out the fact that I love their territory the most. I think
Mm.
that's what they're really what they're looking for. But I think I like the diversity within our businesses, and I don't say diversity. I'm like it's never the same thing day after day. That's
Yeah,
what I really truly like. And while we have problems and we have challenges, and we kind of work together as teams and come up with strategies and plans in order to improve. And like this, I think overall, our industry wants to succeed. Like we are at team of winners. You think about
Mhm.
like how our industry handles challenging economic times. Let's be honest. But we tighten the belt a little bit and we go out there and we produce great plants and, you know, and in the end, when we get back together again, well, yeah, we survived that like it
Yep.
time and time again. So,
Yes. It's very true.
and so,
I
yeah, I think
agree. And
that's what's exciting for me.
yeah, you're right. Every day is different. I mean, I think that's probably the function of working with plants and people because
Yeah.
they're going to be different every day. And
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it. And yeah, I mean, obviously there's some cadence and rhythm to our tasks and our day-to-day to-do lists, but you'd really never know what's coming at you. And I know that from working so closely with our technical services team at Ball. And I know you see it because
Yeah.
that's kind of what you're doing too, is a lot of troubleshooting and problem solving. Yeah, I can see where that would be exciting. Maybe
Yeah.
exhausting at some points during the year as well. But uh, yeah,
I think my wife thought reminds me, she's like, she recognizes when spring's coming
mhm,
and the phone's still going to ring at 7 or 8 o'clock at night because
yeah,
that's only, that's just in the late afternoon in California.
it's true. That is true. The beauty of covering multiple time zones.
Is, yeah,
All right, final question. It's crystal ball time. Is what does the future of horticulture look like?
uh,
A lot of
yeah,
electrical engineers.
yeah. No, so like, I think what does it look like? I think that while one of the hot topics we hear right now is AI, and I don't necessarily think that AI is going to take over horticulture because I still think we need plenty of people out there doing all the intricate jobs. But what I do think is that we're going to have tools like AI to just make us that much more efficient, that
Mm,
much more like ability to analyze data a little bit better and quicker. I mean, just like so I think technology is what's going to be different about horticulture. And I think that's a pretty that's okay. I think that's an okay space for us to be in as an industry. I think it'll also maybe potentially award us some opportunities to stay away from some of the riskiness that we saw within our industry in the past, potentially.
like what? What's an
Like
example of that?
predictability, some more
Okay.
predictability and utilizing well, yes, we're still gonna have somebody who pulls the trigger on something. I still think that there's gonna be abilities for us to recognize things ahead of schedule to where it's not as impactful for our industry. And so I think that would be pretty interesting. And then I truly see more people coming into the industry because they are fascinated by our lifestyle. And I know that I got some growers out there that are probably like, Brock, I haven't slept for days because it's,
Hmm,
week whatever. And
right.
like that's horrible. But it's not.
Yeah.
It's truly, this is a lifestyle that I think honestly more people would probably enjoy than what
Mm,
they recognize. I mean, I think
yep.
about the guy who goes to work 9 to 5 and clocks in, clocks out, and is just so methodic compared to the person who's wearing cargo shorts and enjoying summers in the greenhouse checking on crops. I mean, I just think
It's
it
true.
fits more people.
Yeah, and I think we are seeing a movement toward appreciation of nature and
Yeah.
just sort of the whole outdoors lifestyle as an antidote to, hyper focused on technology and all the little screens in our pockets.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's how can we turn that attention to our industry as a career path and as a great hobby or as a way to as a place to spend your money and beautification and landscapes, functionality and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I
Absolutely.
like that. I like your crystal ball. I can get down with that for sure.
Yeah. That's good.
Well, Brock, this has been fun. Those were your 4 questions. We could probably do the other 8, and maybe we'll have to circle back because I'd love to know your answer to all of them. But it is week 9, and everyone is busy, and probably your phone's going to start ringing any minute. So again, thank you so much for your time, and I knew it was going to be fun. Thanks for all you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
But I can't close without reminding you to subscribe, like, and share the podcast with your peers. There are more than 275 episodes in the archive covering a wide range of topics. There's really something for everyone in professional horticulture, garden center retail, landscape, CEA, nursery, production, and much more. So take care out there, and we'll be back with another Tech on Demand Pick 4.